The Hake report. The Hake report is live on YouTube, D Live, Periscope, Facebook, and shortly Twitch, if not already. What's up, everybody? It is Monday, September 7th, 2020. It is Labor Day, which I consider to be a communist, socialist, anti-American holiday, right? It's been around since the late 1800s, right? Something like that. And we work on Labor Day. That's why it's called Labor Day. We labor. At least for half a day, right? But anyways, we're going to have quite a show. Another loosey-goosey show. Because I had one on Friday and another one today. And I will be taking your calls, or accepting them anyways. 888-775-3773. With that, you know what? Let me just tell you briefly. I hope to touch on adult kids living with their parents, supposedly over COVID. Trump doesn't disrespect the troops. Please. Oh my gosh. Ridiculous people. The Rochester riots, that liberal, rich, Jewish white girl in Upper East Side of New York. The dumb Breonna Taylor Kentucky Derby boycotts. You know, the Black Lives Matter out of control. Portland a mess. And Antifa out of control. And a few laughable TMZ headlines. Attacks on decency, honestly. Attacks on decency. And this ridiculous former Bernie staffer, now a Biden staffer, a black female, short-haired, Symone Sanders. I'm going to cover her. And I may do some throwback clips from 2016 and maybe early 2017 about her. And it's only gotten worse since 2016, honestly, with the evil attacks on pro-America people, on Trump supporters, and on President Trump. It's going to be fun coming into the 2020 election, right? Anyways, let's go ahead and get on with the show.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake report. The Hake report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake report. The Hake report. La la la.
Hey guys!
Oh, it's the Hake report. The Hake report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake report. The Hake report. La la la.
So, isn't it disgusting, the stuff that people have just accepted as normal now? Not only are like the adult children living at home more and more, and I believe that it's also partly corruption from the immigrants coming in, because the immigrants come in and they pack like sardines in a house, multiple generations and multiple different married couples and families in one house, and you can kind of respect that. They pool their resources and then they buy a house after house after house, but more like apartment. Yeah, that too. And then they move on to houses once they get together enough money. But I've known more and more white people living with their parents. And then what's funny about it is I heard one mother of a grown man who was living at home with her and her husband complaining, when I was 18, I moved out of my parents' house, but yet she's letting her adult son stay there. Or was anyways. And not just that, though, just the degeneracy that's been accepted. We've been morally subverted, and people want to just look the other way. Quickly, thank you to Jesse Lee Peterson for hosting the Hake Report on D-Live. Thank you. Appreciate that. Shout out to Nico for making that happen, the producer, Nick. Noah's Arkansas with a diamond, thank you. Evgeny Crosby says, Symone Sanders, it's actually Symone, I think. Symone Sanders looks like, tell me if I'm pronouncing this right, Ving Rhames. Ving Rhames. Why do I recognize that name? I don't know who that is. But it doesn't sound necessarily like a compliment. An actor. Not an actress. An actor. You know, there's a bunch of females who are calling themselves actors. But they're actresses. Right? Am I right? I'm going to be getting to calls. I have Samuel from Sweden. Nice show yesterday, Samuel, by the way, on the line, and some others. 888-775-3773. But, I just wanted to present to you this trend that, I did it, Joelle Friday did it, and many of us, not to like tell Joelle's business, but I mean, it came out in church a few years ago now. He was living with his mother, thinking that was the right thing to do, save money and stuff like that. And a lot of Zoomers are doing it, and then they look down on the boomers, so they don't listen to the boomers' good advice sometimes. So every now and then, the boomers have good advice. If they forgot, now they remember. Exactly. Yeah, it reminds me yesterday in church with Jessie Lee Peterson, which I produce, this nice young lady who comes to church and oftentimes asks questions or gives comments. She thought that Jessie Lee Peterson was asking her about that black preacher who apparently he cheated on his wife, about it, because she thought that he was asking her about it because months ago she had brought up the fact that she had cheated on her husband multiple times. And we had all forgotten about it. But when she brought it up, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. She did talk about that. She's had some great conversations with Jessie. And let your life serve as a example of what not to do. But if we didn't remember, now we remember. Anyway, I'm trying to practice saying anyway, as opposed to anyways, which, correct me if I'm wrong, is that a British way of saying it anyway? I don't know. But I got this headline from Drudge, right? I do still listen to Drudge or look at it. And Pew Research is reporting that a majority of young adults in the United States are living with their parents. And that's a majority. And that's the first time that a majority has been living with their parents, young adults, ages 18 to 30, just under 30, I guess, for the first time since the Great Depression. And you have a spoiled, forlorn-looking white young woman looking at her phone, all ungrateful, with her mother in the background. It's a stock photo, right? But you can see since this year, when it was 47% in 2019, and 47% in 2020, January, February this year, it has grown to over 52%, 52% since April, May, June, July. The numbers of young adults living with their parents, 18 to 29 years old, according to their analysis of Census Bureau data. I honestly don't get how they get this information, but scary kind of. How do they know? I didn't answer the census, did I? Actually, maybe I shouldn't say that out loud on radio. Ooh, I answered it. Just lie. Un-American. I mean, the government is un-American. It seems like more and more and more. Yeah. Back in the early 1900s, 10s, 20s, 30s, 40s, it was kind of a growing thing. Apparently, according to what they claim, they had every 10 years they would have the census, right? And those who lived with their parents. But it was a little bit different. People were more responsible back then. People were more mature at a younger age back then, I would think. But we were getting subverted during during even those years, in the 100 years ago and more. We being the American people. I wasn't alive back then. Oh, I did answer the census. I got a text confirming. But it went down in the 50s and 60s, and then it started going up again. And that is when the immigration mess started coming in. The open subversion of our values came in. And the subversion was way back in the early 1900s and probably before that too. Honestly, like, evil has always been around, right? Trying one way or another to make people, I used the term debased, which I don't even know exactly what that means, but taken away from your base of morals and of common sense and of independence and manhood and morals. And now with this COVID thing, you know, Pew Research is such fake news because they say the coronavirus outbreak has pushed millions of Americans, especially young adults, to move in with family members. That's not true. It's not the outbreak. The outbreak didn't push anybody anywhere. It pushed some people into their deaths, right? Because a few people have died, and it sounds like this is a crazy disease that can affect some people pretty badly. But it's not the outbreak. It is the overreaction to the outbreak. It's the COVID scare. You know how we had what the liberal media calls the Red Scare? Have you ever heard of the Red Scare? That was when, I guess, was it Joseph McCarthy? There's a couple of McCarthys, right? Was it Joseph McCarthy who was calling everybody a communist? And rightly so. Well, the communists won that. And now they call it the Red Scare because they're pretending that that communism has not infiltrated America, which it obviously has. Look at Black Lives Matter. Look at Antifa. Look at the mainstream media. Look at the degeneration of our values. Meaning, even the conservatives have a lack of values. So I call this the COVID scare because coronavirus, while affecting some, is not the scary thing that they're pretending it to be. It's just an excuse to judge your fellow man if they're not wearing a mask or if they are wearing a mask. Some people, you know, there's judgment flying on both sides, right? Nastiness. And shutting down businesses and all that stuff. And people are falling for it and going along with it. So that's what's pushing them. And also the weakness and preconditioning. Senator Joseph McCarthy, yes. That's the weakness of the young people and their parents, honestly. My parents, if they knew that school is not the valuable thing that it may have been when they were alive, and when they were alive, they are alive. When they were young, they might not have pushed me to go to college because I haven't used it at all. Not that I'm regret having gone, but it's like the brainwashing of college and the puts you in a non-reality type of world, and people just stay in that world and turn into dumb liberals. And my parents aren't particularly liberal. But I don't know, it's ridiculous. 52% in July, 52% of young adults living with their one or both of their parents. You know, so many divorces going on. Is it true, that statistic that we've heard for years, that 50% of marriages end in divorce? Is that true? And when did that come in? Was that Governor Reagan who introduced that into America? People were blaming Ronald Reagan for no-fault divorce. No-fault divorce means they didn't have to have cheated. It just has to be unworkable or something. I'm glad that the culture is changing for the better, though, at least amongst a chosen few, right? There are a lot of few people who are becoming more moral. Did you ever believe that stop having sex out of wedlock would be a low-key trend. That's nice. And resistance to pornography and all that stuff. There's a lot of, and then all the people who are talking about that stuff are called Nazis. Oh man. And Nazis, of course, is according to the propaganda the worst thing that you can be called. And racist too. And misogynist. What a mess. And I do submit that whites are not the primary offenders, but they are a growing thing. They're a growing offender rate. Hold on, let me get to this. 42% in February of this year, 42% of whites lived with their parents. That's way too many, but it's slightly less than Hispanics were at 55%, blacks at 50%, and Asians 46%, young adults. Well, this is 18 to 24 years old. Maybe because the whites, I don't know if should really count though, because whites may have gone off to college and lived at the college thing, which is not a good thing. That's basically living with your parents, except your parents are even more degenerate at college, meaning the college is degenerate, right? So I don't know. It's kind of like the abortion rates, right? The abortion rates amongst whites is far lower than the abortion rates amongst blacks, but the whites are taking the pill, which is not a good thing either. So the lack of morals manifests itself in different ways for people. Before I get to calls, I'm going to ask, does anybody believe this thing? Does anybody really believe this thing where Trump supposedly called dead soldiers losers, and what else did he call them allegedly? Losers and where is that word? Suckers. Referring to Marines who died defending Paris from the Germans in World War I, and referring privately to John McCain. I mean, John McCain, he is a loser. He's more of a loser because of what he did since then than even whatever happened with his being a POW. John McCain was a disgusting, evil person, and President Trump has always been right to criticize him. And he's dead now, but had no loyalty to America, no real loyalty to America. They called him a maverick because he was supposedly independent of the Republican Party, meaning he would side with the Democrats. He was a poster boy for a rhino, right? And President Trump is the Atlantic came out with this thing saying, President Trump, 4 anonymous sources tell us, anonymous sources, which Bill O'Reilly, who I like, but some of you guys don't, but Bill O'Reilly said that anonymous sources always have an agenda, sometimes not known to the reporter who uses the anonymous source. So he refrains from using anonymous sources for the most part, for that reason. And it's easy to lie, and people do. He says, Bill O'Reilly says. And I believe it too. I now believe that it's easy for these people to lie, and they do. Because when you look at what Antifa does and Black Lives Matter, they just openly and brazenly lie. They do. And the reporters who try to stick to facts, even they lie with the facts. They selectively give you information. Oh, blacks are disproportionately dying at the hands of police. They don't say, but blacks are also disproportionately criminal and attacking police and all that stuff, resisting arrest and all that, and hating cops and hating whites. They don't tell you the whole truth. Same thing with these people. Yeah, it's a silly story, but I'm bringing it to you because it's like an ongoing story. It stayed in the Drudge headlines and all that stuff. President Trump may have speculated that John Kelly was a source. Was he a general at one point, John Kelly? I keep on telling you guys how we were kind of impressed early on in Trump's assembling of his cabinet or his crew of men, because he was appointing a lot of men and manly-looking men, but they're not that manly of men. John Kelly turned out to be a softie. Couldn't hang. So President Trump speculates that, according to The Independent, which is a far-left foreign outlet, The Independent, I think from UK, supposedly Trump said that John Kelly may have been the so-called source, one of the so-called sources in his allegedly calling dead soldiers losers and suckers. It doesn't even sound like Trump. It does not. It sounds like a dumb caricature of President Trump, and dumb suckers who hate the president are willing to believe it, while normal people who know that the president is a decent man with the proper respect for the proper people wouldn't be like that. He doesn't even... In fact, he stands by the stuff that he says when he says stuff that's not politically correct, that's true. He stands by it. That's another reason why you know this is a dumb, fake story. Because when he says, Mexico is not sending their best, they're bringing drugs, crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people, he stood by that. He stood by calling the Charlottesville, the decent people of Charlotte who came to Charlottesville protesting the takedown of Robert E. Lee statue, very fine people on both sides, and violence on many sides. He was right about those things, and he stood by them, even taking the heat from the dumb, lying media. The media is the enemy of the people. He's right about that. I like how he retweeted Jesse Lee Peterson and was that Bible Go-To guy with the bloody face from 1996? July 4th, 1996, the president retweeted this viral video from July 4th, 1976, Prop 187 rally. The great Americans in Los Angeles, California, was it near the Federal Building or downtown? I forget. Were protesting in favor of Prop 187. And this was a couple of years after the voters of California voted at nearly 60% to nearly 40%. It was a little less than 60%. It was a little less than 60-40. Voted to not give illegals free education, free non-emergency health care, and other welfare mess for illegal aliens. But the betrayers in the government refused to enforce what the voters passed. Reminds me of Prop 8 from 2008, when we, the American Californians, voted not to allow so-called same-sex marriage. And so somehow Bible Go-To guy attracted the wrong kind of attention, got a frozen Coke can thrown at his head, bleeding hard from the head. And the Univision reporter says, "You okay? Are you a racist?" Huh? And Jesse Lee Peterson's like, "She's asking if you're a racist." "No, I'm not a racist. Why would you ask that question?" And then Jesse Lee Peterson rightly points out, she asked him that because he's white. And she wants to play a dumb game, pretending, oh, whites are racist. That's why they want to enforce our immigration laws and not give welfare and free education and free so-called health care to the illegal aliens who don't belong here. And so they shut down the disgusting, slimy, fake news woman from Univision, or however you pronounce it. And so Trump retweeted that. It was, it makes rounds every now and then. People come across the video and retweet it and share it on Facebook and Twitter and elsewhere. Right on. And that's right up President Trump's alley. He's a boomer, but he knows the reality of the situation when it comes to the mainstream media. Such phony people, as if they have respect for the veterans. It's such posturing. President Trump called out that Muslim couple, older Muslim couple, the Khan family. Was it Sadiq Khan? I forget. But the Khan family, where this guy, K-H-A-N or K-A-H-N, I forget where the H goes, right? I can never remember. It's like spelling Gandhi. I can never spell his name right. But this Democrat Muslim, and most Muslims who come here are Democrat leaning. Yeah, they're not a conservative religion. They're communists they're socialists in religious garb, as Bill Lockwood says. Holding up a constitution like he cares about the Constitution. He would not be a Democrat if he cared about the Constitution. And saying, you can't do a Muslim ban and stuff like that. Religious freedom, something. Some dumb thing. Oh, the account that President Trump retweeted got suspended. Yeah, that account was, what was the name of that account? It was something actions or...
I believe it was called Always Action.
Always Actions. Or Always Action. And...
Yes, Always Actions, but it's suspended.
Okay. I wonder why. Interesting, huh? And that Always Action account was no alt-right account, I dare say. It was tweeting out, according to what I heard. And alt-right, they have the freedom of speech anyways, but, you know, we all know that they're not given the freedom of speech by the America disrespecting establishment social media, right? Establishment social media does not allow whites or Christians the freedom of speech. But this was pretty much mainstream, boomer-esque stuff that this Always Actions was retweeting, including the scene of Jesse Lee Peterson and Bible Go-To guy out on the street in 1996 protesting against the illegal aliens and getting assaulted for it and getting falsely smeared as racist for it. Dumb. Yeah, interesting. I wonder if it's because the president retweeted them that this because Twitter is blatantly anti-Trump, blatantly pro-Black Lives Matter, by the way. They have been for years, and to this day, they're still pretending that Black Lives Matter is a valid thing. Talk about supporting, aiding, and abetting fake news, and not to mention not just fake news, not just harmless fake news, but this is destructive fake news. This false lie and smear of whites and cops in America by Black Lives Matter, but also the destruction of the family that they promote, the destruction of men, just a disgusting place. They also supported the Me Too, so-called Me Too movement with the pink, the little pink emoji with the female hands sticking up and maybe a few homosexual hands sticking up because homosexuals and women were crying Me Too against men. Crazy. Accusing them without evidence of so-called sexual misconduct. And normally, you should assume people to be innocent unless proven guilty, and you shouldn't even name the accused. But they name the accused, and sometimes they don't name the accuser to protect the victim. When in reality, most of the time, the accused is every bit as much a victim. Right? Victimized by smears. A good name is to be protected, right? You know, like the Asian culture, or at least like the Chinese culture, they are about respect, right? And you don't disrespect people. And now people in America, including the many Asians who are turning liberals, well, they're communists in other countries, right? Just supporting the female-minded communist mindset of smearing without evidence. Ev Jenny Crosby 2020 gave a diamond and said, Marcus Jones asked me to give you his whole paycheck. Thank you, Marcus Jones. I banned him on the church chat yesterday for just coming in and trying to debate. That's not what church is for. Church with Jesse Lee Peterson. You can debate in the radio chat. And in fact, I mean, all he does is just mischaracterize. Not really an honest person. I don't get the feeling. What's up to Jess and Willie over on Facebook? Nice to see you guys. Appreciate it. So the Atlantic editor, by the way, I didn't get to this in my Hake News segment from the first hour today. The Atlantic editor appeared on Reliable Sources. Isn't that a laugh? Reliable Sources is a TV show by that CNN weird kid, right? Didn't Tucker Carlson call him that weird kid? Brian Stelter, whom Mark Dice, the great Mark Dice, uses a Mickey Mouse voice for Brian Stelter. Brian Stelter seems like a nice guy, but he's an evil type of female-minded fake news purveyor. He's in with the mainstream, gets interviewed by these rhinos and liberals on CNN and on mainstream rhino radio, right? Rhino talk radio. Brian Stelter has this show, Reliable Sources, and this Atlantic editor, Jeffrey Goldberg. I'm laughing. Not a Christian name, not a Christian man. Just talking about, we are not going to be intimidated by the president. Ooh. It's such a female thing to say. Normally you hear women saying, I am a strong woman and I will not be intimidated into silence. You're not going to silence me. And now you have mainstream media guys, the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, which is far left, well known to be far left, anti-white, anti-American, anti-Trump outlet, The Atlantic, which employed, I don't think they still employ him, that disgusting guy, Ta-Nehisi Coates, who called for the removal of the Confederate battle flag from public grounds. He said, take down the Confederate flag after Dylan Roof shot up the thing. And so in retaliation against white people and against the beautiful South, which is the best part of America, he said, we should get rid of the Confederate battle flag. It's making white people kill blacks or something dumb like that. I mean, I'm kind of caricaturing his dumb argument, right? But essentially, that's what it is. That's what it is, because getting rid of the Confederate flag is not going to solve the hatred. It's only going to exacerbate the hatred, because it's alienating the decent people of the South, and it's further smearing them, who are the best people. And then there are a few people in the South who are who may turn angry from these false smears and false scapegoating. Reminds me of Nazi Germany. Remember, the Jews were scapegoated. That's what I read in school, in my history classes in school. They were saying that Hitler and those Nazis were scapegoating the Jews. Now that's what they're doing to the people of the South, the beautiful Christian white Americans in the South. Traditional people, decent people, straightforward, but conservative, and standing in the way of the further destruction and subversion of America, right? What a shame. Goldberg, is that Greek? Says Beta Boot Camp. I don't know. Look it up. That's his hood name, says Tax Kettle. And then there's this female journalist. I didn't mention this in my Hake News segment. This female journalist, so-called, right? I put that in heavy quotes because, well, if basically there's a running joke amongst, I think Asmodor says it, oh, journalists, far be it from me to be a journalist, because journalists are really anti-American propagandists, or, something along those lines. Jennifer Griffin, whom I had never heard of before, but she's a Fox News so-called journalist and a female, short-haired, I think. Maybe a war correspondent or something, I don't know. But she pretended that she confirmed the Atlantic's reporting. Neil Cavuto called her a great reporter. Neil Cavuto's a nice guy. But I think he gets a little alienated by Trump. I think he might be, a little on the soft side. I hate to talk negatively about him because he's such a nice guy. But I think that he does fall for that type of I call it mainstream. Mainstream means following the crowd. I don't know what it is. I don't know what his deal is, but he called her a great reporter. Well, he's trying to stand by his fellow people at the company, right, of Fox News. Hate to make excuses for him either, though. because she's confirming an anonymous source. She says, my source is not anonymous to me, and it's definitely not anonymous to the president. Then why do they have to be anonymous? Just come out and be bold if you're going to make this dirty claim about Trump. Because as either Chris or Joel mentioned, they're not seriously doubt that that President Trump would have said that in the context that they're putting. He calls people losers when they are losers. He doesn't just disrespect the troops. He loves the troops. He loves America. And these people don't. They're self-important, nasty people. By the way, Charlie Kirk tweeted, the great Charlie Kirk. I'm chuckling about it, but this is interesting information. He said the widow of Steve Jobs, Laureen Powell Jobs, donated at least $500,000 to Joe Biden's campaign this year. I don't know this to be true, but I don't know Charlie Kirk to put out false information of this type, right? Do you know who owns a majority stake in the far-left anti-American outlet, The Atlantic? I put in far-left anti-American. Laureen Powell Jobs. Interesting. Laurene. Laureen Powell. 2 L's at the end. Jobs. Man. Steve Jobs, come back to life and get your woman. I wonder what Steve Jobs was like. Was he a good guy? I don't know. He's the guy, he's the Apple guy, right? And now they have that homosexual guy, Tim Cook, running Apple. And it just isn't the same. Interesting. 500,000? How does a person donate 500,000 to Joe Biden's campaign? That's weird. Didn't the great and nationalist Dinesh D'Souza, didn't he go to jail for donating 10 or 20,000 to some campaign that lost? Didn't even win their campaign. Interesting. I don't know. I don't understand it all. You guys do the math if you're interested. I got to get to some calls though. Lulis gave a diamond. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you to Dark Side of the Bear What for hosting the Hake Report. Let me just double check the Streamlabs. You can donate streamlabs.com/the Hake Report since YouTube has me demonetized. Wow. Let me get to Samuel in Sweden. He's been on hold forever. Appreciate you hanging on, Samuel. How are you doing?
Well, I'm back from work. Bit tired, but everything is well.
Right on. Yeah, what time is it over there? It's 9:40 here.
Well, it's 18.
Okay, so
18,
it's
6 p.m. 6 p.m. or 6:30 p.m.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, but
why do you guys? Do you really not do AM and PM? You guys use military time?
Yep, it's 18:30.
Wow. Man,
18:40.
that's rough. Interesting.
Yeah, we don't know that.
Euros.
Yeah, but I'm Americanized.
Nice.
I'm Swedish on the outside and 100% American on the inside.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Most of the world does it, huh?
Excuse me?
I was just saying most of the world does it, but America is cooler. And we use British pounds rather than kilos and miles rather than kilometers. So we're American.
Yeah, but America is the greatest country, and I believe that. So.
Yeah. How far we've fallen, though. Whew.
Yeah, but you have a lot more to stand on than in Sweden.
Yeah.
But I wanted to call because I think this is pretty fascinating. My employee in my company is going to give out voluntary COVID-19 test this month.
Oh.
And, I will not take it. So
right
I did not say anything, but it will be very interesting to see what happens. And I'm going to keep you updated about it.
Okay.
Because, that's pretty, that's a personal, they're trying to, I don't know how to say it in English, but I mean, it's my private life. They can't force
impose
to do
you.
tests.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
but
I agree with that. You have bodily autonomy. Your body, your choice. What the heck?
yeah, yes, except perhaps Corona. But
Right.
I just think that's pretty. It's people are still insane about Corona, even if it's debunked by now. Everybody knows it's not.
And
that serious.
it's not like you it's not like you disrespect the rules of common sense, which means stay generally, give people their personal space. That's good for that's good for everyone's health so that you don't spread your stuff to them or theirs to you. Some people get in your space. And don't breathe on people, don't cough on people, don't sneeze on people. And then if you're in close quarters, I guess you can put on a mask since I guess that's the rules.
No, we don't have masks in Sweden.
Nice.
I guess there's some. No, perhaps I see one person every blue moon.
Yeah. But you guys don't get into crowded spaces too much, or am I wrong?
Well, I'm on the bus, public transportation.
Wow.
But
Taking a risk.
Well, I'm
but
not
you seem like
afraid
you're becoming healthier, right?
Well, I would say that our virus expert in the government, he said that buses and public transportation is not the place where people get the virus.
Okay.
It's almost always at home and where people are relaxed.
Yeah.
So he doesn't really say there is a problem traveling in buses and things, even if you should be careful not to be too tight with others.
Right. Interesting. That's interesting
good
information.
expert. Yeah, we have a good expert here in Sweden.
That's cool. It's good news, man. For all of Sweden's failings on a moral level and how far they've fallen since the 1700s and those things that, those moral laws that you were telling me about that have gone away.
Yeah.
It's nice that they have getting something right, I think.
It's interesting that you actually think that it's a fall for Sweden, because when I talked about these harsh laws, I was thinking that perhaps now a lot of people will consider me being a back traveler, or I don't.
Right.
Well, at least because it's so evil laws and hard law. They have a much better society now, perhaps something. But I see how perverted and perverse and fallen today's society is. I can't ignore it.
Yeah, that's true. You were saying this yesterday on your show. I was listening to it on my drive in to the to church prepare for church with Jesse Lee Peterson yesterday, and you look at how lenient people are towards morals, and society's just disgusting now. It just is, and each individual person has made what do you call it? Sacrifice their morality for immorality, to become more immoral. It's a shame. I appreciate your show for that. It's cool.
Yeah. Well, I learned one thing in last Sunday, that when you're talking, or when I'm talking, but to get something off your chest, don't look at the chat, because that really breaks the focus. So I will try to avoid looking at the chat next time I speak.
Yeah, look at the chat when you're ready to respond to the chat. That's true. Because I look more healthy, not healthier. You can't say healthier. Is healthier not a word? Speaking of getting distracted by the chat, I like to look at chat so that, I can engage with them, I always appreciated it when people would glance at the chat. Hosts do it, but you're right. You can easily get distracted and lose your train of thought. And
I actually looked at the chat and I saw you write something, and it seemed like people wrote something, and I thought, are they saying that I'm talking too much about COVID-19?
Oh.
Are they? I don't. And I thought, I wasn't sure, but I get stumbled upon that.
Right.
I don't know what people meant, because that's the problem when you just start to look and you don't have the background.
Right. Yep. True. Well, I appreciate you, Samuel. Good to hear from you. Do you guys do Labor Day over there?
We have a socialist, communist day when they walk around and parade the Social Democratic Party.
Uh-huh.
But, this is the first year in 100 years of Sweden that they did not have a parade. So one good thing with the China virus.
Okay.
The communist China virus.
Yeah. Wow. What a mess. Well, thank you, Samuel. Take care, man.
Same. Bye.
Bye. Jeez. And then they also have May Day, May 1st. Isn't that another communist, socialist holiday? So-called holiday. It's not even holiday, right? Because holiday is holy day. Nothing is holy for them. Only, anyway. Let me get to Richard in North Carolina. I have some clips from Symone Sanders that I want to play for you, and just some throwback stuff from 2016, just because it was a memorable throwback for me. Anyways, go ahead, Richard.
You want me to read? No, if you want to do it, you can
No.
do it.
I'm just announcing it for the beginning of the next hour. Calm down.
Oh, okay.
I gotcha. Go for it.
Well, it's your show. I don't want to take your time if you need to do something. Anyhow, did you hear about the fancy-free person in Antifa in Portland this weekend? He performed a fire dance.
I saw footage of a guy whose foot and lower leg got caught on fire. I don't know why or how he got caught on fire. It made me chuckle. They were throwing Molotov cocktails at the cops, and they caught one of their own on fire. Wow, these people are so
disgusting. And the cops rushed over there and tried to put them out. And then after they went back, they were you, beep you, screw you, police. And I'm just like, you just saved the guy's life.
Yeah. Has President Trump been able to send the National Guard there yet?
Portland or Kenosha?
Portland.
No, because unless he can. He's deputized, federally deputized the Oregon State Police, so now they can subvert the DA, the corrupt DA in that county.
Yeah, that's right. So they can face federal crimes for committing crimes against the state police.
Well, like I think I told you before, the Oregon State Police stopped going there because they were tired of getting their life endangered, and they'd arrest the guy and he'd be out the next day trying to beat up the same cop.
Man, that is so evil.
He got around that. Yeah. Well,
the Democrats are outright pro-criminal and anti-innocent people.
Well,
they always have been, but it's even more apparent now.
What's bad now? The thing is that I think in the first time in my lifetime, I'm going to see a destruction of a political party. If the Dems don't get any major seats anywhere, I think they're going to dissolve as a party. Seriously, in the next 3 or 4 years.
I don't know. Neither party is in good shape, honestly. The Democrats
the Dems are in serious trouble, though.
I don't know. Yeah, they're morally, yes, for sure. But, there's a whole lot of support for evil right now.
Well, remember you said what debase meant? Debasing someone means if I don't believe in sex before marriage, making fun of me. And saying that's, you're just an idiot, trying to remove you from the majority. Yeah. Try to say that's not normal. You should have sex before marriage. That's what debasing means.
Okay. But sometimes if it's successful, that's what I mean, is it's become successful.
Well, it's like that guy and Jesse said, girls won't marry guys if they don't have sex with them before marriage.
Yeah. They will. They would. If the man is like a real, if the man is like a real man, a decent woman would. If there's any decency residing in the woman or to be awakened inside of that woman, yeah, they will.
I don't know. I have to live my counsel.
I know it because look at how well. Yeah, it's just reality. They will. They would. You just have to have faith. Because there are decent men who are actually men. I'm not talking about the ones who are soft Christians who are just too weak anyways. I'm talking about the solid Christians who are solid in their courage and solid in their morals. Who you can't. That's irresistible to a woman.
Yeah. Well,
look at how they can't. Look at how they can't resist. Yes, they may hate the president and they hate decent men like Jesse Lee Peterson, but they also can't resist giving attention to those men because they just.
Well, they have a daddy complex.
I don't know what that means. People say that. I never know what that means.
They had a bad father and they're longing for their father, so they attack older men that are like that they wish their father was because they're mad at their father.
Oh.
They get attention to it, either in love or hate.
Yeah.
That's what a daddy complex is.
Okay.
So, well, I was going to say one last thing that, I think Jesse is the next prophet. There should be a book of Jesse, and then there should be a chapter of Hake, in there. Like 10 or 15 pages of Hake.
Oh, that's nice.
So,
just
like the book of LA, that with the, what's his name, the Denzel Washington.
Oh, Eli?
I feel like editing Jesse's face in there when he starts shooting up the evil people.
I haven't seen that movie.
And when he's shooting, have Jesse go, Beta,
Is that a good movie? The Book of Eli?
It's one of those dystopias, post-apocalyptic
yeah,
shows.
I feel like I can picture it, the poster, but I don't know anything about it.
I just want to put Jesse's face on there when he's shooting up the bad, evil people. This happens to scream Beta.
Don't
overly
spoil it.
Beta,
Nice.
And then send it to you guys. I bet you Jesse would love that.
Right on, man.
But thanks a lot.
Appreciate you, Richard.
And you take care out there. And if you go out there and do those rallies.
Yeah. All right. Same to you, man. Take care.
Bye. All right, thanks.
Bye. Before I get to the top of the hour and take a quick break, and I will be talking about the BLM mess and then this Symone Sanders lady, and I use the term loosely. Let me get to Marty in Kansas City, Missouri. A lot of people talking about this guy that's got set himself on fire or got set on fire. Marty, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. That guy stole my thunder, but I was gonna tell you that there's so many people that have put out videos with music and stuff like Billie Jean's Not My, just gobs of them. There's so many parodies of this guy that's got his feet on fire and he's rolling around and getting crazy and whatever. But yeah. But I was going to tell you, it's been a pretty good weekend because I didn't get kicked off of anybody's property, so that's been good. And then I was going to say that the militia, they're getting more aggressive, and it's getting pretty crazy.
You're talking about the right-wing militia, or like the pro-America militia?
Yeah, the Patriots.
They're getting more aggressive with who and where?
Portland, D.C., all over the place, man. They ain't messing around no more, man. They're tired of it, and they're just like
that doesn't necessarily sound like a positive thing.
They're just standing out there and they're trying to explain to the BLM and the Antifa people, that they're not trying to be aggressive, and that you guys don't need to be aggressive toward us. If you are aggressive toward us, then we're going to defend ourselves. And so they're like, they're just there like to do what the police aren't allowed to do, pretty much.
Okay, all right.
And so they're not going in there and swinging.
Right.
But
I mean, they never do that. The militia that I know, as I know it, they are self-disciplined. They're orderly. They stick to their training, if you will, and they're there not even really to take sides. They were in Charlottesville trying to maintain some order there. They've generally shown up to just help prevent things from going out of control. That's all I've known them to try to be. So
yeah, like that kid, you know, he's in jail, I guess, right now. I don't know if he got out.
You talking about Kyle Rittenhouse, the 17-year-old young man?
Yes.
Who apparently shot a couple of Antifa, Black Lives Matter, radical, disgusting people in self-defense, killing them, and one other guy who had a gun trained on his head, according to what I saw in the video. Yeah, so he's in jail right now?
I don't know if he's still in jail, but he was in jail. I don't know if he still is. But
I would think that he would have bailed out by now, but I don't know.
But he had incredible discipline because
Kyle John Wick Jack Bauer Rittenhouse. Because he was doing it, it looked to me like he handled himself quite well.
Yeah, and I guess they train their people very well because when he went down, he freaking knew exactly what to do to keep them off of him, and it wasn't like, you know, it wasn't like he was just randomly shooting everybody, you know.
Right.
He just like
it was. That's why I called him. That's why I compared him to Jack Bauer and John Wick, because he didn't shoot any innocent people. He only shot his attackers.
Now I did hear this. I heard that they set up like
which the mainstream media called protesters. They called them protesters. Those are not protesters. They're attackers. Anyway, you were talking about GoFundMe?
Yeah, I heard that they were allowed to set up GoFundMe accounts for Floyd and some of the other criminals that, you know, ended up getting shot.
Yeah.
But they stopped. GoFundMe suspended his account because there was a lot of people that wanted to contribute to his account, and they like suspended it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. It's par for the course for GoFundMe. They're anti what's right. They're against what's right.
You're right, man.
And they have no backbone for stuff that is considered controversial on the left. If the left doesn't like it, they're not gonna let it stand. And the left, the left, Facebook even, according to what I heard, Facebook was calling this guy a mass murderer or something, right? They called Kyle a mass murderer. Facebook is evil. Facebook is fake news.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
I'll just, I don't want to keep you, but I was just going to say, shout out to Nick Legic, Brandon, and Skip.
Nice.
In the chat, you know. But,
yeah.
I appreciate you working today on the communist holiday, so it's pretty good.
Right on, man. Appreciate you. Take care, Marty.
Okay, you too.
All right.
Talk to you later, Hake.
Bye. Okay, guys. So in the next hour, I hope to touch on the Rochester riots, the rioting red-haired, pretty Jewish girl. Well, she's 20. Breonna Taylor, Kentucky Derby mess. Remember I told you about the Kentucky Derby, the one black owner? I don't know what's up with him. I don't know if he boycotted or if he ran his horse. And I got to touch on the laughable headlines from TMZ. And, of course, the Bernie staffer turned Biden staffer. Okay, that woman is only out for herself, Symone Sanders. And, of course, well, I don't know if I will have any time for this, but Stephen A. Smith, mask off, huh? He pretends like sometimes he comes off like he's fair-minded, especially with the man thing. Some of these blacks who are really into this black thing, they're right about, the attack on men. But, boy, he's repeating the dumb white privilege thing. Sucker. Simp. And right on to President Trump, by the way, if I don't get a chance to mention this again, for getting rid of the 1619 project in federally funded schools, if it happens. But I like that he's against it, right? Against the disgusting slur upon America. I'll be right back, guys. Hang tight for hour 2. Yeah. Hey, everybody. You can call in 888-775-3773. It's 10:04 a.m. here in Los Angeles on this Communist Labor Day, comrade. You know, I watched this movie called Red Sun, Superman, Red Sun. I didn't realize it was going to be a cartoon. And it's envisioning Superman, you know, the cartoon character? Well, he's a cartoon character now. He used to be a live-action guy. Having been born and raised in like communist Russia or something like that, and turning into a communist hero. And then, at the risk of, should I spoil the movie for you guys? I don't need to spoil it, in case you watch it. I don't necessarily recommend it, but whatever. But, Wonder Woman and, I don't know, this is all like American propaganda, and it's American anti-American propaganda. You know, like our mainstream media, mainstream Hollywood type entertainment world stuff is against subverting America. It's against America. It's against what's right. I mean, if you yeah. Shout out to Asmodor hosting the Hake Report. Thank you, man. DLive.tv/Asmodor. Thank you to the subs. What's up, Turtle Bro Man? Appreciate you. Let me just double check the streamlabs.com/the Hake Report. Appreciate you guys. King Alpha Nerd, Kevin Duggan, Hot Computer Smell, and the many people who give regularly. Jib Jab and all you guys. Appreciate it. So, Rochester, New York. I've ignored this story for as long as I could because it's just kind of disgusting. This black, I didn't even know he was black because he looks pretty light-skinned. Naked guy who way back in March got himself killed because, what, was he high on PCP and running the streets? And he had already been in for a mental evaluation earlier in the night, and his brother called 911 on him, and then the cops came, and was he spitting on cops? I don't even know or care about the whole story because I know that it's overblown, right? Just another boring case of a black man getting himself killed or dying some way. They're accusing the cops of having killed him. They put a hood over him. And isn't that like, is that standard procedure? I don't know. Or really care, right? They were spitting on him. In these COVID times, March 23rd, right, is the height of the COVID problem. I mean, that's when we started our shutdowns in a week or two before that. More than a week before that. Almost 2 weeks before that. COVID shutdowns. So March 23rd of this year, this guy got a spit hood put on him because he was running the street naked. This Daniel Prude, not very prudent to be, people call people prudes for being, saying, no sex out of wedlock. Oh, you're a prude. Or don't be dressing like a slut. Oh, you're a prude. This guy was no prude. He was naked in the street. Sick. I mean, but he was high on PCP. So I cut him slack for being naked, but not being high on PCP. What the heck? And I guess that's an all races drug. I had this conversation with some people. Isn't that a white or Asian drug? Isn't that speed? Is speed the same thing as PCP? I don't know. But his brother, what's that? PCP. Okay, sure. I don't know my drugs because I never really got into them. Say no to drugs. That campaign worked on me. Kind of. What a mess. The state attorney general, Letitia James, said Saturday she would form a grand jury under pressure and conduct an exhaustive investigation into his death. And she's a black female, right? Letitia James, I've heard that name before, of New York, right? She's the anti-Trump one, right? And Rochester mayor, oh my gosh. When I saw this picture of this Rochester mayor, I'm like, that's the mayor of Rochester, New York? How far Rochester, New York has fallen. Her name is Lovely Warren. She doesn't seem this lovely to me, but she's being pressured to resign, right? Calls for their resignations. But it's a black liberal female, no doubt. It has to be a liberal, right? I mean, a woman being in office, that's liberal in itself, right? And I love Michelle Bachmann, right? She was a woman and she was elected in office. And she's quite conservative compared to many, right? So, okay. But this Lovely Warren guy, she looks like a lady, okay? She's a woman. And the police chief, LeBron Singletary, I have a couple pictures of them. And it's like, what a joke of a government. Look at that. And he looks all nice, like a teddy bear. And they're addressing, oh man. Look at that. City of Rochester, New York. There have been 5 days now of rioting? Is it riots that they've been facing? Is this or is it more like Manhattan, where they were breaking into restaurants and breaking plates and water glasses and stuff? Was that in Manhattan where they were rioting and stuff? Or was it here in Rochester? I don't know. Whatever. Diners were attacked. Let me look. Let's see if Daily Mail tells us. The far left, sleazy, sloppy tabloid outlet Daily Mail, which is from the UK. Violent BLM protesters attack stunned diners and smash up a restaurant in Rochester. In shocking footage over, it's shocking footage, but they're reacting over the death of Daniel Prude, which took place several months ago, more than like 6 months ago, right? Or right around 6 months. A similar incident in Washington, D.C., protesters demanded that dining civilians, dumb liberals most likely, right, raise their fists for Black Lives Matter. It's like, hail Hitler. Hail Farrakhan, or whatever. Who even knows, right? Daniel Prude, 29, died of suffocation. Was Daniel Prude 29 or 41? Somebody said he was 41. Was that, or did I completely misread this? They call him a 41-year-old black man in one outlet, 29 years old in another. I don't know or really care, but just FYI, there's all kinds of discrepancies. The mainstream media gets the facts wrong regularly. They claim that, to this day, they're claiming that Jacob Blake, who, man, he's looking skinny. I don't think that he was that skinny before. But they claim that Jacob Blake was shot in the back 7 times, when Wikipedia, which is their liberal outlet, says it was 4 times, and they have a couple of sources for that. And even Benjamin Crump, I believe, they cited him as having said that. 4 times he was shot. They fired 7 times, but he was shot 4 times, okay? At least get it right. Sloppy so-called reporting. Look at this guy. This was one of the laughable TMZ headlines. Message from hospital bed. Life is precious, so live it well. Don't be like me. I hope that he said that. Did he say don't be like me? Because in the next picture of him, you see him running from the cops and resisting arrest after a taser didn't work. Doesn't he look bigger there? He looks bulkier there. What happened to him? I guess when you go through a traumatic experience, because he was shot a bunch of times. But look at him. He's going into that SUV or minivan or whatever it is, with his children in the car, resisting arrest in front of the cops, fighting with the cops. A taser didn't work. And there's dumb people calling into the Jesse Lee Peterson show saying that they could have used a taser. They did use a taser, and it didn't work. And he did have a knife. He was not unarmed. There's fake news media to this day that say he was unarmed, or at least they left it up on their websites. BBC, CNN, and other places, other sources. Market Watch even said it. Said according to authorities. Market Watch. Sloppy so-called journalists. They're not they're not careful to give you what the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. They don't. And these disgusting people are sitting naked, or at least just in their underwear, in the street this morning in front of the Rochester Public Safety Building. Disgusting, with Black Lives Matter written on their backs, some of them wearing a hood, pretending that they're, well, I am, what's this guy's name? Daniel Prude. Except I'm dressed like a slut, or undressed like a slut, right? Males and females dressing like this. Do I have those pictures? I think I do, of them being naked in this protest thing. Just dumb propaganda. Posing naked, sitting in the street, look gross. And some of these are white-looking people, light-skinned. I think that's nasty. What's happened to the millennials? I think those are millennials and Z's. Okay, that's enough. Yeah, thank you. That's better. Sorry, guys. I should have warned the kids. Close your eyes, kids. And look, you can see on the right-hand guy, he has hashtag Black Lives Matter or something dumb written on it. And he was wearing a bag over their faces because that's what they had to wear. I guess when it's raining and you put a bag over your face, it's kind of like getting waterboarded, right? So, was it raining that night that he was spitting on the cops? Was he spitting on the cops? This guy that got busted and then he died? I want to know if the PCP was related to his death. Of course it was related to his death. He threw his life away. And the so-called family, the parents especially, look, light-skinned male, I think that's a male, with hashtag Black Lives Matter across his back. Gross. Looks like a hostage, an ISIS hostage. Except I don't even think ISIS would strip off the people's clothes. These people are gross. And they're saying, oh, nobody's going to hurt you. The people who are tearing apart the diner and breaking plates and stuff. And I told you about that transgender guy, whatever thing, being interviewed on NPR saying, oh, property is a white thing. You shouldn't have a right to property. We need to get rid of property. So you can't have your own stuff. These are completely degenerate people. And then I got to get to this, and then I will get to calls. This wealthy New York City woman was busted in a Black Lives Matter rampage. I have a picture of her, red-haired, white, Jewish girl, Clara Kraber. Well, I call her a girl, but she's a young lady, right? And I use the term lady very loosely. Age 20, was one of, look at the cute dog or goat or whatever that thing is. That is a goat. That's not a dog. I was right. Oh, my gosh. Or something. Whoa. And spoiled Upper East Side, right? Manhattan. Clara Kraber. Kraebber. One of 8 people arrested Friday night after a 3-hour rampage, I believe in Manhattan. Police said left $100,000 in damages. Every city, every town, burn the precinct to the ground, the group chanted as they moved up to Lafayette Street while busting plate glass facades of banks, Starbucks, and Dwayne Reed, whatever that is. Her mother's an architect. Her father is a child and adolescent psychiatrist. He needs to work on himself and his wife and her, who teaches at Columbia University. Maybe he's proud of her. Department of Psychiatry. Psychiatry is the one who gives drugs to people for their brains, their messed up brains. This white girl, but that's not a normal white girl. That's a Jewish white girl. Most Jewish people are liberals. Most normal white people, Christians, are conservatives. It's by a slimmer margin. I think we're only 60% conservative whites, normal whites. More so on the men. The white males, No wonder they're hated, right? Well, this is one reason, right? Tend to be more conservative, tend to be more pro-America, more logical, more moral. Like, barely, but still so, yes. Versus like 98% of black females in Alabama voted for Doug Jones, the Democrat, over Roy Moore, the decent Christian man who was falsely smeared by Wall Street, Washington Compost. 40%, negative 40% for black males. What is that? I didn't mean that. Oh, negative 40%. Black math. 99.999.9.9%, but not all. That was Joel saying negative 40% of black males are conservative or something. I don't know. But yeah, it was something like 96% of black males. Maybe it was less than that. Maybe it was only 94% or 92% of black males voted for Doug Jones over Roy Moore. And 98% of black females. And that's why the left props up the black females as if they're geniuses and not just geniuses, but moral people to look up to. And they're not. They're blind, brainwashed people misleading the masses. All of these people, blind people leading the blind. But she's part of it. And back in 2014, this woman was pushing this, girl was pushing this dumb Black Lives Matter mess at age 14 for the Michael Brown riots in 2014. She was born in 2000 or whatever. Don't blame her. Maybe she was born in 99. Yeah, maybe so. But don't blame her. She was born and raised in the degenerate world from apparently like educated, working, well-to-do, and functional. Well, functional in the sense of outwardly speaking. Parents. This is the kind of people, if they were black, that Joe from Phoenix would be touting as responsible people until he finds out about their daughter rioting, right? Then he would be like, oh, they didn't do a very good job. But that's that false value of education and career and all that stuff. Oh, they're contributing to society. No, they're contributing to the degeneracy of society. A psychiatrist, I think I was raised to know that psychiatrists were evil. Because that's not only is it leaning on a fake science of psychology rather than a religion and God, right? To get your mind and spirit and everything else right. But it's also leaning on drugs. So it's not just worldly so-called expertise, but it's also drugs to mess up your mind and pretend that it's getting fixed. And also back up in Rochester, they were chanting this evil thing. If you don't give us our SH blank blank, we shut SH blank blank down, the protesters were yelling. And they call them protesters, which is such a subversive, what do you call it, whitewashing of what they are? They're rioters. But that's what, where did I get this? New York Post was calling them protesters? That's not protesters. They are anti-American people. That's rioters. Anyway, let me just skip over the Breonna Taylor stuff. But armed militia and Black Lives Matter were over there in Louisville. Because Saturday was supposed to be the Kentucky Derby, which was delayed because of the COVID shutdowns. Supposed to happen in May. And firebombs in Portland. 100 straight days of Portland riots. And the rest of Oregon, the rest of Oregon is not with Portland, according to, at least, in general. They're not with Portland. Portland, Oregon, that is. Speaking of the rioting, Justin in Texas wants to ask a question or give a comment about it. Justin, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. This is my third time calling. I called you last time on the 1st of July I've been busy ever since. But
Nice.
I got some comments about this rioting.
Well,
you know, like you said, it's been about 100 days.
Yeah.
You know, of these Portland riots, and you know what I'm seeing? They're only attacking left-wing cities. If they're wanting their message across, they need to attack the conservative cities, as they're a
Don't
far
say that.
less thing. But yeah.
I said, don't say that.
Yeah. Well, this is like I said. If you're going to truly protest in a place where you disagree, not agree 100%.
No, man, I don't want them anywhere.
Yeah.
I want them.
Yeah.
I want them.
Yeah.
Can't you deport people who are treasonous? It seems like this is treason. Doesn't it seem like it's treason? It seems like it's brazenly against. They're committing crimes.
You made me realize that might be treasonous. But the thing is, you know, I told the guy who accepts the calls before you that when Trump wins, these riots are at least going to stop significantly, and then they'll at the very least go down to protest level. But even then, I don't even think there is a protest level for them, because they only know what destruction is.
Yeah, you know, they were rioting on Inauguration Day, weren't they? Wasn't Antifa going around? Isn't that when the great meme that everybody loved? You know, I'm talking about the mainstream media.
No, that wasn't Inauguration Day. That was when they found out Trump was president.
I'm talking about punch Nazis. I'm talking about punch Nazis. I'm talking about actual riots. I don't mean screaming liberals. I'm talking about... No, I'm talking about when...
I know what you're talking about. I just wanted to do that one more time.
What's that guy, Richard Spencer? Richard Spencer got punched, sucker punched on Inauguration Day, I believe. In D.C. Was it in D.C.? I don't know.
I think so.
I don't know if... I think the riots will go down when Trump clamps down on them.
Exactly. And this is the thing
and any decent Americans. You know, I'm not necessarily a fan of having the militia out there, because now Black Lives Matter and Antifa are escalating. They're carrying guns. They're bringing guns and shooting and murdering. Well, they murdered one person, allegedly. And they were trying to murder, it looked like they were trying to murder Kyle Rittenhouse, but thank God he had a gun. And so I say that...
Let me say this. If Antifa has only managed to kill one person... They are not really doing their job well. I mean, that's a sad thing, but if they're trying to kill people that disagree with them, they're doing a terrible job at it.
Don't be talking like this. You're like, it seems like you're encouraging them to come to conservative cities.
I'm not. This is what nearly every conservative commentator I've seen has said.
What is? That they're not doing a very good job at killing the right?
Well, they're not doing a very good job.
They've killed more than that.
Doing what they do. They're rioting. They're doing all this stuff. If they were silently protesting, then there'd be no problem with that. But now they've gone to riots. They've gone to destroying minority-owned businesses, which are, you know, they're a part. Black Lives Matter is a minority organization, yet they're basically destroying their own businesses.
I'm not a fan of. I'm not even a fan of that line, honestly. Because that's presenting it as though it's fine to destroy white businesses.
And
they should, if the media were decent, they would be showing up to every single business and they would document it across the United States in every major city, Green Bay and all these other places that you haven't even heard about, except for from like Michael Tracy, who's he's a liberal, but he's independent, and just document the horror that these businesses have suffered at the hands of the Black Lives Matter Antifa people and from the COVID scare people, referring to the government, the local governments that have shut down businesses. That's what they would be doing.
Yeah.
But
and
they're not honest.
This is all going back to one person in Minneapolis that got killed by the police. That was
and we don't even know if he was actually killed by police, but it's not going back to that. This has been like a long time coming. They're just exploiting.
Yep.
They're just exploiting every death or every death or injury in the case of the guy in Jacob Blake in Kosovo.
And this part made me laugh a little bit. All right, so there is this reporter, And there was a fire in the background, yet he had the audacity to say, yep, these were mostly peaceful. These have been mostly peaceful protests. Man, there's a fire in the background. That's not a peaceful protest right there. That is definitely not a peaceful protest.
And, you know, honestly, even the ones, there are people out there that are in the daytime specifically that want to keep the peace and, oh, let's be peaceful. But they're not peaceful because they're smearing the cops falsely. That's not peaceful. Therefore, what's evil? Asmodor gave a diamond and said, by U.S. law, communists have no rights. Gitmo them. He says, Gitmo them, referring to Guantanamo Bay. Yeah, because communism is a brazenly anti-American, atheist, by the way, anti-Christian, violation of rights. That's what they're for. Hydro PX with the diamond. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. And
this is the thing here. They're protesting, but they're violently protesting, which is the equivalent of a riot. So
and they're
I
smearing.
Think they should say violent protesters at the very least.
But they're also their words are violent. I'm gonna cover this violent words thing.
Violent. Oh my God!
No, but I'm telling you, they're smearing the cops. They're falsely smearing whites. It's a slanderous movement. It's really evil.
Yeah.
And the mainstream media pretending to be about facts. They're not. Anyways, Justin, I gotta run. How old are you, by the way?
Yeah, I'm 17.
Oh, okay, I remember you now.
Yeah.
Well, good to hear from you.
And let's hope this racism does not continue.
Right. This attack on whites.
Day, man.
All right, you as well.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. What's up, Clovera? Over on I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. Over on Twitch. I almost forgot the name of it. Asmodor says this one's not a Fed. He's just a kid. Let me play for you. Speaking of Antifa, which is, attacked and killed and maimed and hit with bike locks, conservative people who are on the streets trying to defend free speech, the conservative people, that is, including Proud Boys and Patriot Prayer, religious people and all that. You know how Joe Biden is pretending, do I look like somebody who is for the radical left and likes violence and winks an eye at violence? Yes, you do. You were vice president under Obama when Obama was giving credence to the slanderous lie of Black Lives Matter, and you were supporting it. And you also supported the leftist Antifa attacking the right wingers who showed up in Charlottesville. Your whole campaign, Joe Biden, was after seeing what happened in Charlottesville when Trump called them very fine people on both sides. And that's quite generous to call anybody on the left very fine people, honestly, because they're not very fine people. But they're well-meaning, right? So that's good enough. Trump's a boomer. He's nice. And he's solid, honestly. Like, all of us who have more quote-unquote based opinions, could we really do a better job? Like, imagine me trying to be president. Oh! But anyways, I gotta show you this woman who is a Joe Biden staffer, a black female, and this is gonna be 11. Symone Sanders is being interviewed by, man, I forget who. It's somebody on Fox News. Oh, I think it's that guy, Brett Baer. I think Trump has made fun of Brett Baer before, but Brett Baer's a nice guy. But he's asking about Antifa. And she just seems to gloss over it. And she completely doesn't really answer the question, I don't think. Here is Symone Sanders being questioned about Antifa, and she's like the top staffer for Joe Biden. And she's like, I think she's younger than me, but she's a black female and shameless. And I think she's only out for herself because she used to be Bernie's top staffer. But listen to her.
Let's talk about the protests and the violence around the country, often turning into riots and looting, some significant violence stemming from it. This week, the former vice president has condemned that rioting and looting and violence, spoke out about it, but he has yet to condemn Antifa, a group that is behind a lot of the violence. Specifically, why?
Brett, the vice president has been very clear. He condemns all forms of violence. And frankly, what you heard him say in the speech that he gave on Monday of last week was, it doesn't matter what political party you belong to. It doesn't matter what your political beliefs are. Violence is wrong. And in this moment, he is calling for calm. And he has also noted throughout the week, Brett, that he, asked the president to join him in condemning violence regardless of who is causing it. So Joe Biden has been very clear. I do believe it's Donald Trump that has not.
That's dumb. So she's making excuses and ignoring Antifa is evil. Antifa is evil, and so is she, honestly. She just is. Yeah, it's total spin. Let me show you a little snippet from, what was it, 2016? Maybe after November 2016, of her appearing on CNN, and she was, I don't know, she's been running her mouth for quite a few years now. Referring to another incident, and they were pretending that hate crimes had increased and it was Trump's fault, and really it was fake hate crimes that had increased. But listen to her downplaying violence again and just ignoring. I don't know if she just can't hear or if she's outright evil. Listen to her again from 2016. This is her.
And a hate crime is not the same thing as protesting. We have to be very deliberate about that.
And what do you say? What do you say to the people who dragged a poor white guy out of a car and beat him?
Oh my goodness, poor white people! Please, stop it, Carl.
That's what I think of every time I see this woman, Symone Sanders, and that was Carl Higbie was referencing. That was on a CNN clip. That was Carl Higbie who was referencing right after the election. There was a sideswipe type of an accident over in Chicago. I don't know if this was an Italian guy or whatever, but it was a Trump voter. I don't know how they knew that he voted for Trump, for President Trump. But some blacks attacked him. I have cell phone footage of the attack, and then towards the end you hear it break into this F Donald Trump song by Nipsey Hussle, who got himself killed by his life of sin, and that other guy that tried to bring up a Trump supporting kid on stage, or was that kid even a Trump supporter, and sing F Donald Trump, and he wouldn't sing it. No, I don't think it was Kendrick. It was another guy. It wasn't Kendrick Lamar. F Donald Trump is a different group. But anyways, listen to clip 13. This is cell phone video of the incident that Carl Higbie referenced, in which they dragged and beat a guy who got out of his car after a sideswipe accident. They sideswiped him. And they're beating him, and this is what this lady, Symone Sanders, is saying, oh my God, poor white people. Stop it, Carl. Chris thinks blacks look alike. Look at this video. If you're watching, if you're listening, I'll try to describe it.
How do we vote Trump, damn it? You voted Trump! You voted Trump! Oh, yeah, he voted Trump!
Stomping this guy, kicking him.
I gotta do that to
Laughing, think it's funny.
Yeah. Beat his Don't vote Trump!
Don't vote Trump! He's trying to get his car back.
Yeah, this in it.
This guy's almost 50 years old.
Hey, y'all be gone though.
His name is David Wilcox. They're stealing his car. And then there's this dumb rap song. Dumb evil rap song. That's Donald Trump. Yeah, that's love.
Nobody else gonna speak up.
Sick. And they're dragging him away. Hopefully they don't copy strike me. I mean, they're not going to copy strike me. They'll just make money off of it. Can you believe it? People make money off of sick tunes like that. I have more cell phone footage, silent footage. You can go ahead and play 14 because it's totally silent, and I'll describe what's going on. But you see there's like, I don't know if it's street footage. Watch this. Street footage. You see the guy hanging off the side of the car behind, and they're swerving. Look at that. That's crazy. And he's like sliding across the street. Dang. He estimated they were going 60 or 70 miles an hour. I don't know how fast they were going, but he slid a little while. I've seen a guy slide like that when he fell off a motorcycle over on the freeway. Man, he got up. Durable guy. Crazy, huh? Walking away. Got his car jacked. After I think it was their fault, they ran into him. It was a side swipe. I have footage of what this guy just proving what it was over. Symone Sanders, oh my God, poor white people. Stop it, Carl. And you heard she gave no play to the fact that Antifa is evil to this day. And it's only gotten worse. This incident stuck with me because it's just so memorable. They're saying, don't vote Trump. He voted Trump, kicking him in the head, sucker punching him, ganging up on him. Such brave blacks, right? Chicago. So let's go ahead and play just some footage of, I just want to show you this guy because I liked his interview. ABCD. This is Dave Wilcox, age 49, back in 2016 of Chicago, describing the attack. Listen to this.
We're scared. You see, I'm getting kicked and punched. The car pulled up next to me. We sideswiped each other, but they hit my car. I put the car in park. The light was red. I got out of the car. One of the guy, African American at the bus stop, said, yeah, that's one of those white boy Trump supporters. And I said, what does that have to do with this accident? I just want to exchange insurance. And then the next thing I know, the guy said, don't worry about it. We're going to beat his ass. And then punches were thrown. And the next thing I know, I had 5 people on me.
Yep. And more from him. He's describing his beating and robbing and carjacking.
And I fell to the ground. I was kicked in the head. They were in my car, stealing all my stuff. I tried to go to the car. I got hit some more. I tried to get into a defensive stance to try to ward them off a little bit, hold them back. And then another guy said, get the car, get the car. And then when he started up the car, my driver's window and my child-proof back window was open, and I put my arm around it, and the guy took off, and he took off. He was doing 70 or 80 down Roosevelt, swerving, and he was trying to have me fall off, and I knew if I somehow let go, I was going to die.
Crazy, huh? This is just a simple man and a religious man. You see those rosary beads? Is he a Catholic guy? A religious man beaten for supporting a decent man. Here's him describing the black neighborhood that he was in and explaining his support for President Trump.
It's a predominantly African-American neighborhood. They started yelling things about, oh, there's one of those Trump white boys. And then I did make a comment and say, what does that have to do with it? So what if I support Trump? You know, he might not speak perfect. I didn't say that to them, but he might not speak perfectly politically correct, but he's the best man for the job. He's the one that's going to bring back jobs, the trade, get the people that are here illegally out, bring back jobs for people that deserve the jobs, that have been here their whole lives, that might not have a full education and can't get a job.
And lastly, he asks, what's happening with America? Listen to this.
What's happening to America? You're supposed to be able to vote in peace. It's supposed to be part of our democracy. And what happened is I vote for somebody and I get beaten, robbed, and my car's stolen, and I have no way of getting my wife to and from work safe anymore. I'm worried about the neighborhood I live in. I'm worried about getting out of the car if an accident happens anymore in a certain neighborhood.
Courtesy of the Chicago Tribune, they interviewed him after this. So isn't that just a simple man? A decent man. In reality. He's living in reality. Excuse me. And versus, let me play 17-3. You see that one? Newsbusters, this black woman. Here's just a reminder, Symone Sanders talking all of her dumb rhetoric nonsense. Contrast the people.
Most people on both sides should just cut it all out. And a hate crime is not the same thing as protesting. We have to be very deliberate about that.
And what do you say? What do you say to the people who dragged a poor white guy out of a car and beat him?
Oh my goodness, poor white people! Please, stop it, Carl. What I say to people that protest is that, first of all, apparently has never been an acceptable. Pardon me, there has never been an acceptable form of protest. What I'm saying is, I am calling for people to be peaceful. I think protesting is a right. It is what this country was founded on. We got this country via protest, actually. But it's never okay to use violence. But we can't keep calling for people to be peaceful. We can't call for people to be peaceful when the rhetoric that has been used is not peaceful. When people don't feel peaceful in their homes, we have to recognize that.
That Carl is too nice. That's Carl Higbee. I don't know much about him, but that woman is evil. She just glosses over the fact. She just didn't even acknowledge it. And she's probably not even listening. Blacks don't listen very well, especially women like her. Just a disgusting person. And yeah, what does she know about the founding? Oh yeah, we got America by protesting. Okay. No, we got America by fighting for it. And thank you, shout out to the French. I heard the French helped us too a little bit. And God, and right on. Right on to the founders who had the courage to fight back for their rights, their fundamental, basic rights. And right on to them. White History Month. Go back to, what was it, July 1st? That show talking about the Declaration of Independence. Covered it this year and last year. I have my second favorite caller and others on the line. Want to talk about this stuff, but think about it. That's 2016, and I go back to that case. That's not the only case. You go around, there's video after video of, no, my second favorite is Earl. Maze number one. Oh, did I call her my second favorite? Oh, my real favorite. I don't even know anymore. Maze just doesn't seem the same anymore. But it's only gotten worse. We got a Trumper right here. We got a couple of Trumpers right here. Right here. And that wasn't a black guy who killed the Patriot Prayer religious man in Portland. Murdered him allegedly. That was a Antifa guy, Rhino. He got himself killed by cops. Swift justice after a few days of being a fugitive from justice, pretending that he killed the Patriot Prayer guys to prevent them from stabbing a friend of mine of color, according to Vice propaganda. Vice is an anti-American outlet, founded originally by a guy who's, pro-America. That Canadian guy, the great Gavin McInnes, founder of Proud Boys, co-founded Vice. How far they've fallen. But it's only gotten worse. Antifa is worse. Black Lives Matter are worse. The black violent crime is worse than it was, I believe, in 2016. Against themselves, against others. They haven't gotten any less nasty. The women are worse. The radical females are worse. Even Stephen A. Smith is a mess, calling it white privilege that John Stockton? I get them all confused. It's somebody else. It's not John Stockton who got the job. Steve Nash? Was it Steve Nash who got the job coaching? Like he was a great white basketball player. and he got a job, right? Did he really say that? I didn't even hear it, right? Because I haven't looked into it. I'm not that interested in what Stephen A. Smith says anymore. He used to make a little bit of sense sometimes, but they made him apologize for telling the truth about crazy women provoking wrong action in the sense of so-called domestic violence. Oh no, we have to put all of the blame on the men. Don't even take a glance at what the women are doing. It's crazy. Yeah, you think it's really gotten any better? People say, oh, why are you citing crime numbers from 2011 or 2008 as if it's gotten better? It's crazy. Yeah, he said it, says Hot Computer Smell. She's a reliable source. Thank you. What a shame. What's wrong with the blacks? Symone Sanders is a black, bald-headed Karen, says Evgeny Crosby 2020. Interesting. Interesting point. Hot Computer Smell gave a super chat, a couple of super chats, said these commies ought to tear their own cities apart. Their cities are crap as a result for the socialist policies that they advocate for. We got to rebuke the Karen slur. No, Evgeny Crosby 2020. These black females are the primary purveyors of that Karen slur, which is a slur upon the white woman. And the white woman is just filling the void left by men who call out evil, the old school jerks. And I use the term jerk to rather than saying another like a harsher word, a harsher like cuss word, because I love that old school American call out wrongdoing, and the young people are like, oh man, and then especially the young people of color like, oh, you're racist. But they would just call out evil. They would call out even little things. And that's what you have to do. There's broken windows policing. You give an inch to evil, they take a mile. You give them a little bit of leniency, that's what broken windows policing is. You don't give any leniency. You prosecute or you enforce against even small petty crimes. And that's what prevents the bigger crimes from going out of control. And they say, oh, but that's mass incarceration. Be quiet. We got to deal with evil. And so, Hot Computer Smell gave another super chat on streamlabs.com/The Hake Report. Appreciate that. And she says, why is Biden and his top campaign staffer condemning the violence while Kamala justified and even encouraged the rioters' behavior? What is going on? Mixed messages, confusion. That's all they like to do. They're not really condemning violence. They're just giving lip service. You notice that they didn't call out Antifa at all. His so-called top campaign staffer who says, oh my God, poor white people. Stop it, Carl. She's phony sweet. You know what I mean? Like she has this phony sweet voice. I got to get to my favorite caller. I called her my second favorite caller. Maybe I should start calling her that. Demoted. Who would be my first favorite? Jesus. Maze from Dayton, Ohio. How are you doing, Maze?
Hello, James. How are you today?
Fine. How are you?
It's not heathenism. But you call people fat. Now, that thing when y'all was down in front of the abortion clinic, I was having a men that didn't look like Opie, act like Opie, was fat.
Huh?
Go look at the video.
What are you talking about?
When y'all went to do the protest in front of the...
Oh, yeah, up in Modesto.
Were they fat? What do you think about those fat people?
Which ones? The
All
Antifa
Black that was there?
Antifa Black Lives Matter fat people?
No, I'm not talking about Antifa.
Oh, conservative fat people?
The one where you went to protest.
Wow, you're judging the conservative fat people?
No, I'm saying, were they fat?
Some of them were, yeah, probably. I can't remember specifically.
Okay.
I think that they shouldn't be fat, but at least they're fighting for what's right.
Really? me.
Yeah, everybody got their
they fight
issues.
For what's right, they'll leave women what don't belong to them alone and get the nose and the things that
I know.
that they're doing.
I recognize that you support abortion. You pretend that you don't, but you do. And you pretend that it's a woman's choice because you don't think for yourself.
It is woman's choice. It's not my.
You're
it is woman's
subverted.
Choice.
You're subverted by the
I didn't
communists.
argue with you about no abortion. I was just telling you.
You know,
about
you
the
brought it up.
fact that
You brought it up.
And also,
you brought it up, Maze.
But did Steve Bannon really steal the money from the charity?
I
or
don't
they
know.
just made it up?
Probably made up. I don't know. I'm not into. I'm not really into that story.
No, did you donate? Oh, of course you went into it, but you always
Did I
talk about
donate?
black people stealing.
Did I donate to what?
Yeah, to the wall.
To the wall? To we build the wall? No, I didn't donate.
The money
to
that he stole.
I donated it through my taxes. Our taxes are supposed to go towards the national defense.
The charity that he was running. Where
We build the wall. I don't even think that he ran that charity.
That had something to do with the wall. So did you donate?
No, I did not. No.
Why didn't I say anything?
What?
Why didn't I talking about it?
Who?
You want to talk about black people? So that thief, did he thief?
But you don't even know the real facts of that case. You're just spouting off hearsay.
That's just like looting. When
You don't know what you're talking about, Maze.
I'm asking you, was he stealing?
I don't know if he was stealing. I doubt it. It doesn't
and
sound. Does it sound like Steve Bannon would need to steal
it
anything?
sounded like he was stealing. That's what it sounded like to me.
Well, then you don't believe in innocent unless proven guilty, Mace.
Oh yes, you don't either. Because that's
Yes,
how
I
you
do.
talk about black people all the time.
No,
Don't know nothing about them, you just want to have a
I
conversation about
talk about how black people act.
it. And what were you talking about? The ladies that's always in somebody's business that had nothing to do with them. What do you call them? Susan, Karen. Yeah, Karen. And the OBs that's out there doing the same thing.
Shame on you, Mace.
They're in somebody's business. So why would you be in somebody protesting? Why are you out there in the way?
You know what? It's
your
not.
property,
It's not
and
somebody
your
else's
city.
business, Maze. When people are
Always in
polluting.
somebody's
Hold on,
business,
Maze.
they're not bothering
I'm going to put you on hold if you don't be quiet. It's not just. It's not there. It's not somebody else's business when you're polluting the city or the acting out wrong in public. That's our business, and we have a right to say. This is America, Maze, and we have a right to say what we want about black people.
And so do we. And we can say what we want to say about Caucasians, too.
And you lie, but all you do is lie, Maze.
Because it hurts. But then I have another question for you. That guy you always say you broadcasting through the
Such a
TikTok
shameless
earlier
woman.
today.
Typical,
Why don't
right?
y'all just go on over
It kind
to
of
his
explains. This kind of
Why don't you just
explains.
go on to his country and make it.
I put it on hold. This kind of explains how Symone Sanders is, because this woman is generations above, at least one or two generations above Symone Sanders. So no wonder Symone Sanders turned out the way she did. Symone Sanders is like younger than me, I think. So that's the one who's no loyalty to Bernie Sanders, no loyalty to Joe Biden. She's only loyalty to her own egotistical, what is it? What is it called? Ambition. Sick. Money. What was that, Maze?
I say, what do you get out of sitting all day complaining about black people? See, I can tell you what the Caucasian
What do you
problem
get
is.
out of sitting all day listening to me complaining about black people, Maze?
So somebody can correct you with the OB syndrome.
Oh, yeah, very corrective.
So you got the OB syndrome. But what I wanted to say about Kamala
The what
Harris,
syndrome?
I know what's wrong. Kamala Harris. I know what's wrong with them. They mad because the lady is a
Does
person
anybody
of color,
keep up with
and
it?
they trying to put something in front of it instead of facing the truth. Why don't you tell the truth and stop trying to hold it back? Anybody gonna get upset with y'all about it? That's what's wrong with y'all people that call yourself conservative Christian. And you're nothing but a bunch of heathen.
Yeah, that's very rich. That's very strong. Very powerful message coming from a pro-abortion
And you
boomer.
always complaining about people and never look at yourself. Take a look in the mirror.
Yeah, back at you, Maze.
That's
Back
y'all.
at you.
You're heathens.
This
You
is,
have a good one,
it's
heathens.
so typical, right?
I know
Thank you.
y'all don't like it in the hurt, but have a good one, heathens. Talk to y'all later.
Thank you. It's so funny. She'd rather listen to Hake than her husband, says Esoteric. Thank you, man. Shout out to Fatty Watt, Shaggy Boy, Sean Breed, Bomb Jack, Yee Vision. Congratulations. Thank you to Evgeny Crosby, Turtle Bro, man. Beard the Butcher, man. Thank you. Appreciate the support. And Army and Noah's Arkansas, Hydro PX, Asmodor, as always. Lulis, Fatty Watt, and Shaggy Boy. Appreciate the support, guys. And in the last couple minutes, I want to give a shout out to, I have to, right? Candace Owens. Candace Owens is going after Cardi B, and she's right in what she's saying. I don't really like the fact that she's a married woman now. she married a white British guy. Candace Owens did. And, you know, I'm not a fan of women getting all involving themselves in politics, but she's right in what she's saying about this Cardi B situation. And she might be a little too into the black thing too, Candace Owens. But listen to what she's saying. She's right in what she's saying about Cardi B, who is she a black Puerto Rican mix New York sleazy woman? I think that's what she is. And she's the one that came up with that disgusting song called WAP or WAP, W-A-P, which is a gross slur. And Jesse Lee Peterson has talked about that. Ben Shapiro has talked about it, and he got made fun of, but whatever. He's right in his criticisms of it. And she's pretending that she has any validity, Cardi B. I think she interviewed Joe Biden, right? And the many blacks are so degenerate that they will listen to what she's about, what she says, and support Joe Biden, I guess. And they hate Trump. They hate whites, so they hate Trump. They hate America, so they hate Trump. They're not going to vote for Trump. And so Candace Owens put out a video denouncing Cardi B as pushing the things that are disintegrating black culture, right? Or black civilization into a degenerate black culture. And Cardi B said, oh, and then she shared this video of her cousin or sister's girlfriend or something like that, who are harassed allegedly somewhere because they're an Afro-Hispanic gay couple. See, she's just pushing degeneracy and false victimhood. And I don't believe her story or really care. But she has I don't know, she's like a nasty singer-rapper thing. And she's calling out, she's saying, since most black people, Candace Owens is saying, since most black people, Candace Owens being a former TPUSA, current PragerU, just kind of an establishment somewhat conservative thing. That's her kick. She said most black people didn't have the spine to admit that Ben Shapiro was 100% correct about this Cardi B female and how her music and platform contributes to the disintegration of black culture and values. And she's right about that. Joe Biden is disgusting. Cardi B is disgusting. And blacks who pay any attention to either one as valid are gross. They're wrong. So, and this guy, these people. Listen, I gotta end, but TMZ is not an objective source. They are they're contributing to the problem, right? They're disgusting. They believe that systemic racism is real and police are the problem, and they capitalize B in the word black for men and black females and males, and pushing the false idea of victimhood and racism. They hate America. Anyway, happy work day. Half work day, right? Happy work day. It's Labor Day, right? I got to end. We'll see you tomorrow. This has been the Hake Report. TheHakeReport.com, everybody. JesseLeePeterson.com for Jesse Lee Peterson stuff. RebuildingTheMan.com/church so that you can podcast Church with Jesse Lee Peterson. Listen to the podcast. Say if you were in the live chat and you missed it, or you may have missed something because you were distracted in the live chat by Marcus Jones or whoever trying to debate being all being all satanic, pretending to be a Christian. Then podcast it, and you may get something that you missed. Nice. All right, guys, take care.
What? What?